reason of the conversation was, I guess I reached out to you, or you reached out to me thinking about the credentialing process. The exam and so on. And I was saying, wait, maybe if you'd like to get your 500 hours. And you said, well, I'm already there. And I was like thinking she's at 100 hours, she's already at 500 hours. And I said, this is amazing. And you said, it went really well. When I started coaching, things went really well. So this is what I wanted to talk about. How did things start and how did it go so well?
Oh, that's great. Happy to share. Happy to share as you are part of this big journey.
What do you think that made it possible for you to have that good start?
Oh, this is a great question. This is a great coaching question, actually.
What makes it a great question?
Why did I have to stop and look up and think about it? A great question. Well, what made it possible? I think there is no one standard answer, right? It's so many elements putting all together, which is basically starting from myself as I try to look at the world and see the possibilities that were around me, but not only myself. I would say that this is like really a collaborative effort that you do, collaborating with people, looking out. And I think what I also took a lot from our journey together from the BeCoach Academy is that everything I've been learning has been an experience that was not only internal, but also as a relationship and external, and taking it into myself and understanding there's not one standard for everybody. And one switch that really helped me is a switch that it's sometimes difficult to do in society because we're grown up in a society which is quite competitive. And instead, switching the paradigm and say, wait, but I can really learn from other people. And, what I offer myself as Marta is very different what, for example, Ishi can offer. So there's no way of feeling the competition, but it's just a way that we start looking at each other, learning from each other, and see how we can support each other. And this is what I think made it successful to just like connect, learn, and grow, and try to help also and support others to grow.
Mm. So I'm hearing the switch between the competition to collaboration and connecting with others from this place as a key factor in your
Yes.
success. All right.
Very well done.
As a summary, modeling coaching behaviors.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so I'm listening to you. Actually, I'm curious about a couple of things. I guess I'm not a coach here. I'm someone who is curious about your journey, and I have an intention to bring out something for people who might be going through similar journeys. Not the same, of course, it's impossible. Have take it and put it in their own lives. And for me, one thing that is curious, I will put all the things and then we can choose one by one, is that you worked in HR and you made a decision, or somehow the life also moved you in that direction to go then self-employed. So that decision, how did you make that decision, and what you needed to face maybe, and what you needed to learn, but what you also leveraged, so the positives and negatives, that journey of changing from that world that you were in into self-employment. So this is one thing that I'm curious about, what we can bring out as your learnings and experiences. The other thing that I'm curious about is the like, what are you exactly doing? Because you said I connected to people, but how, like, what was your initial step? Did you start when you joined the coaching training? Once you finished, did you reach out to people? What did you really do? You did it in your own style, but maybe there's something people can also connect with their resources, that's something that they can do. For the time being, I guess these are the core topics, and then we can also talk about your experiences of like what you learned in the training, how did you connect to yourself, what you take different, and so on. So in terms of these two things, like the step into connecting and the other thing, changing from HR professional in an organization to self-employment, which one would you
Mhm.
like to start from? Or is there anything that brings all of this in the same umbrella?
I think you put it in a very good way, I think, and it's nice if we go on a linear path, although it's nice to have also the circular part. We can start maybe as in a timeline to say what made me have the change. So let's say that firstly, throughout my life, what stood out, I think, and this goes away also from just my professional part, I just realized I'm a really curious person. We are all curious, right? You also met my daughter. The children are super curious, and we tend to lose it throughout our life. And somehow I don't know, I felt that I kept it in a way, and maybe it helped me to start traveling, start going somewhere, where you have to always self-question yourself about, okay, what is my identity? How are the people perceiving me? So I think that the life choices that I made personally, so the fact of not only traveling, studying abroad, then settling abroad, I was now calculating that it's almost 20 years that I'm going here and there, right? So a bit less, but it's a part of myself, right? So the change has been always a constant, and this brings you to questioning yourself much more than just like being static in one place only, realizing that also thanks to BeCoach. And this fact brought me to be an HR person, because I realized that I really like to have contacts with people and work with people. And it's not just words that sometimes you see in some mottos of the company say, yeah, we believe in the people. I always do think that people makes the difference. And if there is problems or solution within a company, it's always because or thanks to the people. And I've seen doing it. I've lived it as an employee, right? I've seen doing it like within companies, and sometimes more frustration within these years where I covered different kind of like positions. It was more in training, learning and development, or more HR business partner. It was always in these kind of positions, you have the possibility of actually seeing so many of the stakeholders and seeing so many departments and being in contact with so many, that you are somehow like contaminated by all the kind of opinions and seeing, and you can bring up a picture. But sometimes what frustrates you as an HR person is that you cannot make the changes that maybe management could do, right? Because you can just suggest, right? You're usually the business partner. So it's somehow frustrating to not firstly seeing that things are happening, or seeing only at a partial time or moment. And on the other side, I always had that feeling that, okay, I never had a life that was inside of a box, but without outside of a box. I like to take the roads that are a bit less taken, so to say. And so I thought, okay, I think I didn't want to have to be pretentious to say, I can do it better, but I always thought I can do it differently, right? And most of the times, if you're working for a company, you're just working in a place and in a position. And I never felt comfortable, because I never felt that this was never, first of all, answering to my own persona as Marta, and secondly, let me reach my full potential. And there was somehow always a way that I felt, no, I don't know, right? I don't feel like that I'm belonging here. I'm just responding to some value needs. I always had to align myself to something, and I could not align myself to myself, kind of.
Mm.
So the fact something happened, which was basically I was always attracted to training, coaching, creating something, so to say, right? And in the same moment, also, I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was a big shift as well on my identity. And somehow I had the seed planted that I wanted to create something by myself, but it was not clear how, but especially who I wanted to be in this kind of
Mm.
business.
Mm.
And the fact that motherhood like puts you really out there, in the sense that you have to rethink of yourself in any cases, right? And it was not an easy shift for me, because I was always very free, very independent. But then it let me understand other things. And once I went back basically from maternity, there were two scenarios, which was I could go back to the company where I was working for, but there was like a lot of changes going on, and it wouldn't have been the same. And then I realized, okay, hold on, it's not only external circumstances, I'm also not the same anymore. And I want to answer to certain needs, and to be also very practical with you, Ijit, I also wanted to have more the possibility to control my own time, since also my daughter, I wanted to spend also sometimes more with her and somehow work on that. So let's say external and internal circumstances, they make me think, okay, I don't go back to my job, but I just like start and build something. But this is just the beginning of something that it's a bit difficult to define, because from there it goes together with what you were mentioning before. So the collaboration, because once you start working for yourself, it's beautiful, but also very scary. Maybe you can relate, because you don't know where to start to, right? So, I mean, we've been learned to just follow some certain path, rule. So how do I define myself? And then you throw yourself in this new world where they say, yeah, you have to define your niche, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it's always like a narrative of what you should do. But then I realized very quickly that nobody like puts really the light on, okay, who are you and what can you offer to the world, before thinking what else I should do, and just like go on in the same way that you go for companies, right? Because you've been told what to do.
Mm.
So this is the first step, I would say, of the change.
Mm. So you realized, how did you bridge it to the connections to others? You say, oh, there's something I need to do, but at the same time, who I want to be. How did you bridge it into collaborations?
So I remember that was the summer 2023, where I already started, I was already into the coaching part, like thanks to the diploma, then I started my coaching experiences. And then I realized that, okay, now I need maybe to have a structure for myself to offer to others, because it's one thing to understand who I am and what I do, but also communicating to others is the second step, right? So I started just looking out there, right? And the occasions came as soon as I started verbalizing what I would like to be and offer. People start like to come back at you and ask you, you have already the network, the people, and so on and so forth. But the connection was also, I've been reached out, I remember that summer, also by Natalie as well, which was also part of our program, and Janice, and we started talking, and they also had other ideas. And then I started having somehow the courage of stating, yes, I'm also going to start a business, right? So the fact of actually verbalizing and talking to the other and connecting to others, hearing what others are doing, what's their struggle, what's their positive experiences, made me think, okay, maybe, I can do it. I can do it myself, and I can collaborate with other people, so that I keep also growing as a self, and also as a whole with others. And
Mm.
this is the connection where I realized, if you start a business, maybe also to connect to what you are asking before, right? What's important to keep up? It's really the network, because you realize that you're just alone by yourself most of the times. And in this kind of also solutions, like being in services and so forth, you do a lot of online trainings or online coaching sessions, if you talk about coaching. So you do need to create somehow a community of like-minded people that can inspire you, where you can learn even practical things, right? New software to use, how they organize their day. So it's all about, yes, growing yourself, but also growing your connection, in order to have not only potential collaboration, but to keep also growing as a person, and also delivering the quality that people deserve to have there.
Yeah. I relate to what you're saying. I personally did start with a lot of inventing things by myself. If I had the chance again, just I mean, we always have the chance to start again, but I'm seeing so much like do it with others. You cannot define everything yourself. Even if you do, you have to put it into test, and still others will be giving you the feedback how it works, and you will understand while you do it. So I would definitely skip that part of like figuring it out, the best website, the messaging, the name, and so on. But like I think what you shared, putting it out there, your intention, saying it to people, and then see what comes from this conversation. Maybe a collaboration comes, maybe you unite as buddies and you inspire each other. Maybe you discover while you talk about this, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, and you find a new path. Yeah, this beauty and benefit of connecting with others while you have the intention, you have the clarity of who you want to be and what you want to do, and figuring it out while you're doing it. That's also my learning.
I love it. I love it how you put it in this way. And the fact that sometimes we're also very used to just work on objectives, right? Linearly speaking, right? And instead, maybe making the switch and saying, also be more compassionate to yourself, because we put a lot of judgment on our own things, and go for experimentation, right? it's an experiment. This I kept also repeating myself the first times I was doing things, and especially you don't know what is a comeback because you have to appear self-confident, but also you're self-doubting yourself a lot. But then also realizing that self-doubting myself is also okay because that brings me to a process that helps me to to redefine who I am and question myself. And so it's not just a process of building a business, but it's actually a process of really redefine everything that I've been putting the labels on it. So even, reframe the way that it's failure. Maybe you can also reframe it in a different way. Maybe failure is the only way to actually go to understand where you go, as you were saying, exploration and experimentation, which really goes in line, after all, always with the coaching mindset. And when you were saying at the beginning of this conversation, it's not going to be a coaching session, but in the end, I think that the coaching is it's not just a session, it's really a mindset that enters inside you and makes you also revisit everything that you do.
So I wanted to not challenge you or share an assumption. I also want to appreciate something. I assume that challenge me on this, that it might be you might have more channels to do this work than someone else because you have worked in HR, you have built a network. Is it true first? And then if someone didn't start in that human business where not an HR business part or learning development, and maybe they were, I don't know, let's say software developer, and now they will be a coach, what would be different for them?
So the first question maybe regarding having many channels. Yes, I do believe I have many channels. I don't hide this. I think it's also very, very easy after you've been working with people for many years. It doesn't it's not just a new discovery, but it becomes a new also tool, a way of communicating with people. So for sure it is easier. However, I wouldn't say that it's the solution to all because I think I do not have what I do have is this perspective of my life and these experiences of my life. I do not have other perspectives of my life. I know that there were other people, for example, in our sorry, curse
Community.
community. Thank you. In our community, that they are doing different things, and it comes to me also the astrology and all the parts and it's something that I have no clue, no expertise about. And I think it's so interesting because if a person decides to take also parallel choices, for example, I'm an engineer, but also I'm a coach. This person has a different kind of perspective that I do not have and I cannot offer, right? So I would say, again, as I was mentioning in the very beginning, every persona has their own experience. And most of the times, what I'm experiencing is that a lot of people think that they have to acquire much more competencies than what they actually have, and they don't know how much they already are carrying with them, with the type of projects that they did, experiences that they did. So I do believe that everybody can have a great channel and reach in their own field and in their own way. They just have to discover, so what is my channel, right?
Okay, so your invitation is, I hear that people focusing on what they don't have, people can remember what they have and see that as transferable skills. And the other thing is that what you have already experienced, let's say software developer has a certain knowledge and has a certain connection and network and so on. They can build on it. They don't have to put it on the side saying, because I haven't worked with, I don't know, in people's business, in HR, I should never mention that. They can actually or should use that past knowledge, experience, network and build on top the coaching
Of
offering.
course. Totally. I think, as usual, you put it in very nice and clear words. I mean, I think that you just need to understand where I am at and see what you can build on top. And goes always back, finding again clarity and self-confidence in what you have instead of wondering, okay, am I enough for this world or society or anything? Yeah. So
I told you I want to appreciate. I think it's very unusual choice to be, or not an often choice. People, when they have children, they say, okay, now let me secure my financial position while I raise this child, and then I will build my business. But you did it exactly in this time. You went full into self-employment. So I appreciate your, I don't know, could we call it courage, or your commitment to your own, aligning with yourself. This is how you put it.
Thank you very much. I think that sometimes I also have to smile to myself and wonder, and I had actually a thought about it since you bring it up, and the sense of stability, because this is the most important thing, and also in the arena of becoming a parent, it becomes also very important to secure
Mm,
some parts. On the other side, I'm really experiencing so many. Once I enter in the world of, especially motherhood, like the comeback from maternity, and probably this is still a taboo. It's so unsecure in terms of the self recognition that you have of yourself, because it's a new identity. You have to deal with that and change it. Then you're back after a while, you're not working. And most of the times, the sad reality is that companies on paper protect that, but then actually per se is always very difficult to reintegrate and start, and it's somehow starting a new job again, right? So that
mm,
stability that you think that you're having and the energy that you have to put into that, it's not given for granted.
mm,
And meanwhile, you also have to give energy to the moment of life that you're going through. So my idea was like, okay, what if maybe I create more stability in creating something on my own that of course is going to take maybe a bigger mental load, I mean, bigger energy, but on the other side, I know that it's something on my I know, and I'm much more aware of the things that I'm learning. And if at some point I want to go back to a company, I feel that I can apply to a company, right?
mm,
But I would have regretted more not to try it
mm,
than doing it directly.
mm. It's interesting. You reframe the security. Actually, what you call as security is not that secure anyway. It's a big change that you will go through. So I chose my change for not regretting later that I haven't attempted it. Hmm. So I was asking you, I was saying there are two paths that we can go, and I think we chose one path. The other path, I forgot how I formulated it. I guess maybe it was, remind me if you remember this, and that.
And how I would start, so which was the change from to go from the iChart and to the freelancing.
Yeah, we talked about that. And the other bit was it like when did you start coaching?
No,
What
it was
kind
more related maybe to, I don't know why I have connection in my head, but
collaborations? How did you do it?
collaborations. We,
I don't
I
know.
love,
Maybe that wasn't so important. If it was
no,
important, I would
I,
have remembered.
I also, and yeah, I'm also so sorry. And this is also something that I have to deal with sometimes. That there are so many other things, and the flow brings us somewhere
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or what comes to your mind maybe now that we're discussing these topics? Is there any fil rouge that you see?
Mm, no, I think I was, because you said a timeline. Now it will go a bit transactional in terms of, because people who might be interested in getting their credential and so on. So when did you start collecting your hours? When did it get to, like, because I heard going to 500 was what, 1 year, 1.5 years, something like this for you.
Mhm.
So
No, no,
when
it was more. It was more because I started before when I started the program.
you started, when you started the program.
Well, I started when I started the program. Yes,
Yes,
basically.
so you started as soon as you registered to the course, right?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
Okay. So you started coaching. When did it go? So if it was like a curve, when did it go really fast up?
I would say that in the last year and a half, it went straight up, very straight up. But even during maternity, in any case, I had the chance to talk to people and collaborate. And of course, also maybe it's not that you can do so many things in maternity, but the things that I was doing was basically coaching and seeing how things were going. And then so it went up. I started a collaboration as well with with TDM coaching, and there we were coaching there. But I would say also that once I started to have collaborations with companies, that there was also, some sort of group coaching that you witnessed, and together with individual coaching. What I'm doing also lately is a lot of it's not a massive amount of coaching, because then there is the employees that are involved, there's the management that is involved, and within some kind of projects, I'm using also the coaching as a way to somehow discover more within the company. And after that, of course, everything is confidential, but what you can offer after that is basically a report of a general picture of the company. And this is how basically I also connect the services that I do, because I offer the one-on-one coaching, I offer the group coaching, I offer the training packages, and the HR consultancy, because I was trying to understand, okay, how do I do it together? And sometimes they say, yeah, do you offer one or the other? But they're actually very interconnected. What I realized that, first of all, I was already performing some sort of like more than coaching, was mentoring before as an HR person, right? And everything helped me out to build up this HR consultancy. However, the problem, as we were mentioning before, is that sometimes there's not this in-depth, that is, the X and Y part of how you get to know it. So an HR consultancy goes like on a linear way to see, okay, these are the problems, you're missing the performance review, you're missing the development talks, you should build it and structure up like your onboarding in this way. So the what, so to say, but the how, mainly, it's a big problem, and you don't know how to do it. And how to do it actually changes depending on the reality that you go to. And in order to understand how to do it, it's coaching is a great tool to actually go inside, ask, consult, understand. And meanwhile, you're also coaching the people. But for you as a coach, you can absorb all this as well, and somehow transforming a sort of KPIs to what you can do next, or what kind of workshops you do, or anything. So I think it's very, very interconnected, the work that you're doing. And now I'm collaborating with some sort of companies where, to be honest, once you have like a big project and then you talk, I don't know, to 50 people, right? It's already a big amount of time that you're spending there. So this is how basically the curve went up.
Okay, that's great. Going back in your journey, how did you decide to get coaching training?
First of all, the decision was because of direct experience. I had a coach back in 2020, I think, and she helped me out actually to clarify many of my ideas and ways of working, first on the business, and then I realized that it was a much bigger deal, right? And from there on, I basically started to be interested in coaching and trying to apply, coaching even within the company, and by reading, by self-teaching, or getting to know more. And this is how then I got also in contact with you guys, with you ladies, and I participated to a couple of webinars. Of course, now I know also being a freelancer, it needs always like sometimes to understand and then read. And of course, then I was also busy working, my 100%. At some point, I really decided, though, that in my opinion, to do the jump and become really coach, in the sense of not only knowing some frameworks, but feeling that you're actually impersonifying the mindset. Impersonify? Yeah, personificating the mindset, yes. I wanted really to go through something more structured. And what I found also with BeCoach, it was not only a course, but it was really a mindset, as we were saying, as I had to go through really the learnings, the testing on myself, the exchange with others. And this was the most valuable part. So if nobody would know, like basically this journey that we did together, they wouldn't understand the importance of actually putting yourself into there and being on the other side of being the coachee or trying it out and doing a lot of practice on that, right? I've always been the HR on this side, right? And of course, with an amount of empathy, you can understand people, but I always had in mind that I had always to find a solution. And going through the program made me realize the people have the solutions. And I felt so in line as well with this thought of leaving aside my judgment and my and also to be humble. What I really like to do the step of doing that and let the others come up with solutions. It's such a powerful move that you can do for everyday life. But I see now, if we want really to apply it again to a business, it makes the whole difference. So if you go through consultation with people by coaching them and kind of absorbing what they want to transmit, it's a very different things that mentoring or starting a conversation might say, okay, I'm here to teach you something. And yeah.
So you are saying the coaching mindset also enhances the other roles you can take, like training people, giving consultations, and so on.
Yes. The coaching mindset really helped me immensely to bring also on a new type of mindset in whichever environment I was coming in, right? Not the fact that we have to find solutions, but we can find all together solutions. But first you have to tell me what's your solution. And the part that I like about the business is that, coaching, pure coaching really says, okay, you will find a solution. And of course, that also sometimes, especially in business environments, is like, okay, you have to align the wish of the employee with the wish of the employer, right? But there is a much better halfway if you actually listen what the employee wants to transmit than just like doing this waterfall communication within companies.
You highlight a lot the mindset change for you. What did really change? What did you leave behind, or what did you start implementing?
I like this is the keep, stop, and start mindset of agile.
You use it that way in your workshop, I remember.
I love it. What I stopped thinking is that, first of all, things needs to be done inside of a box or following some rules. And what I mean about that is that, for example, I came also from the startup world in the last experience that I had in an employer. And I had a feeling that there is a lot of innovation, but there's also a lot of recreation of the same standards, right? When you hear like OKRs and stuff. And I say it's fine to have some standards, but also sometimes you can really create something new and out of the blue, right? So I stopped thinking that there's already has to be something existing out there and you can invent something that just applies to you. Or maybe take, for example, this start, keep, stop. It's an agile framework from agile coaching. But you can take it and make it, I say, more fun, in other ways, right? And re-seeing and seeing other things. So stop thinking, first of all, that there is one solution only and it's applicable for everybody, right? Because it is not that. As much as there is not one medicine that cures everyone. Well, yeah, in general, I'm thinking, or one solution for all. And keep, I kept the fact of saying, okay, I want to be realistic in the fact that I know that if I'm building a business and I'm going to bring some elements of coaching, some elements of training, some elements of HR consultancy, I don't want to have also assumed that, somehow melting a different kind of way of working, or if you bring some coaching, maybe it can be declined in a way that could serve as well training or HR consultancy. So the fact of experimenting, as we were saying before, right? To not just be, there's no rules set, you can somehow create your own rules and play with it in the terms that it's possible. So to keep this mindset of experimental and to start doing it is to be more open and to keep thinking that in any case, there's so many solutions I still do not know and I still want to explore. And I'm going to fail many times. Sometimes there's many moments of frustration because, as you can know, the business can go very well and can go very bad in a span of time that is very short. So to start understanding and reminding myself that this is a journey and I need to believe in myself, especially when nobody else maybe believes in something. And so I started really to try to think that every problem that I label as problem could really be an opportunities. And it's not easy. I'm not telling that it's easy, but try to answer, okay, maybe I have a moment where I'm really mad, this is not working out as I want, but then it turns out, okay, what's going well in this situation? And maybe this brings to an outcome that it's even better than what I expected.
Fantastic. You inspired me in this moment. It's always good to be reminded of a coaching mindset. So there might be things that I'm not able to think of. I'm noticing that I align myself with what already exists. But let's create something that is more fun in this moment, thinking of what is possible, what is out there, or what is out there that I can create. So it's very inspiring that you share that. Now I want to kind of, we are coming to the closing. I want to hear nice words about BeCoach Academy.
Of
No,
course.
any words that you want to share. You already shared that. I think what I received from your previous sharing was that the hands-on, so the practical work, the structured way of doing things, like that's what you got in the coaching, even though you were coaching before, but in the training, this is what you got. What other maybe special flavors, tastes that you appreciated from BeCoach Academy? So learning coaching at BeCoach Academy, what was good for you?
BeCoach Academy has been really a, a game changer to me, and I'm not just telling you. I mean, you know that I'm not just telling you to you, but in general, it's really been transformative. And I go again to what we are saying. It's not just a course or a diploma or an accreditation that you're doing. It's a change of mindset. You have to go there and you have to be aware that this is going to change the way that you're going to look through your lens in the world, right?
Mm.
And it has been a wonderful also experience of actually humbling myself, of going away from the paradigm, okay, I'm the expert and I should know the answer. But it has been also on the other side so relieving to know that you can really find the potential in everybody's by just going through some apparently small but very powerful changes in your everyday life, right? And that these kind of small changes can really bring to such a big change and vision in your life. And what I really loved with you, I like with you and Elena, I really love the vulnerability that you could create, positive vulnerability, right? Where you can finally have a safe space where to open, to cry sometimes, to realize, and to understand there's so much work to be done, so many haha moments. So the practical part led to such a big self-reflection and discovery of us a self that really helped me also in particular moment that I was going through, because I was going through also my maternity. So I was pregnant, then I got Viola. And I seriously thought that this really helped me to go through this transformative time in a bit more aware way, and also acceptant way, right?
Mm.
Of whatever comes, it's okay.
Mm.
It's so difficult to express, but the experience, the people I met, the experience that it was like throughout even a screen, it's so life-changing.
Mm. Thank you so much, Marta. Is there anything you'd like to add or say before we close this conversation?
I really would like to thank you very much for also the opportunity of explaining, it's not just, it's nice to speak about the practicalities, the theory or anything that comes out. And sometimes it's difficult to make a point of saying, okay, where am I at, or what I'm doing. So I really wanted to thank you, because throughout all the experience as well, the certification and also all the exchanges, you always continue with this thread of usually no fil rouge, I like to call it,
What is
of
it that you like to call? Sorry?
fil rouge in French,
Ah,
the
okay.
red thread,
I don't know French, that's why I didn't
red
understand. Okay.
thread,
Okay, that's right.
red thread of keep making me aware of the steps that has been taken. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to keep this awareness, and to also the celebration part of celebrating. So I'm really, really glad to have met people like you that make me also aware in the sense of not only what I do as a business, but also remind me also to stay aligned with my own values as a person. And also to be okay that sometimes is not going the direction I would like to, but maybe it's the right direction, right? It's the right opportunities to discover something more about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marta, for this conversation and sharing your experience, your knowledge, your inspiration, your courage. I'm looking forward to seeing your successes or failures or learning, but always being aligned. So the actions that you take being aligned with yourself.
Thank you very much. And imagine everything started with you ladies. So that's great.
You started it, but we were part of your journey. So that's really, really nice. Thank you for partnering with us.